Good morning and welcome to the Daycare Q&A Show. I'm your host, Adrienne Bradley, and thank you for joining me here today. And if you're joining me live, first of all, I really appreciate it. And secondly, please send me some hearts and likes so I can see you and just say hi. Last week I used my laptop right here to kind of monitor the comments and to see the comments, and it seemed to work out pretty good. So I'm going to refresh that, and hopefully that works out again today. Let's see. So if you're joining me live, please send me some hearts and likes so I can say hi. And if you're catching this on replay, please just leave a hi in the comments so I can say hi to you too. And if you do me a favor, if you are catching this on replay, consider subscribing so that you're notified whenever I put up a new video and you don't miss a thing. Okay? I would really appreciate that. Okay, some housekeeping notes. I had been putting the dogs, I have two little dogs, outside while I was doing the show, but they've refused to go out today. So hopefully they will behave. But if you hear some jingling, that would be the dogs. Let's see. Okay, so I usually start, and I'm looking at my notes, I usually start every show by saying that the opinions and advice and the things that we discuss here to the provider questions that come up are based on my opinion or an experience that I've had or somebody's close to me has had. But I know that not everything works for everybody, and I want you to feel free to take what works for you and to leave the rest. Do not feel like I'm saying that this is the absolute way to handle something. It is not. If it works for you, then great. That's what we're here to do. Just kind of give you a different perspective and a different outlook on how you might handle something that you're going through, or if you ever do go through it, to think about it and to have a different outlook on maybe something that in the moment you can't see clear how to handle. So that's what we do here. Let's see, what else? Oh, and if you are joining me live, and even if you're catching this on replay, if you have a question, go ahead and put that in the chat, or if it's on replay, put it in the comments, and I will get to that. Hopefully, if it's in the chat, I'll try and get to it during the show. If it's in the comments, I will come back in and address it in the comments. But yeah, go ahead and leave that there. Let's see. And lastly, we have a weekly giveaway every week, and I'll give you some more information about that a little later in the show. But it's a special one for this first day in November. By the way, how was your Thanksgiving? I knew I was going to do that. I knew I was going to say that. How was your Halloween? Mine was pretty quiet. I'm telling you, I tell people every year, no one ever comes to our door. We bought candy the first few years that we lived here, and no one came for the candy. I don't know what it is. I know that there's families and children in this neighborhood, but maybe they go to the mall or they go to events or something. It's not like when my kids were little and we did, or even when I was little and you did the whole walking down the street thing. I did start to think it was much safer to take them to places like the mall or some place where they could, move around, supposedly safer than just walking down dark streets. So, but yeah, how was your Halloween? Type in the chat and let me know if you had a great Halloween and what you did. Oh, actually, what did you dress as? If you dressed up, tell me what you dressed as, okay? I was a cat. A not very convincing cat, but I was a cat. And my daughter actually sent costumes for the dogs. And so one dog was a bat and one dog was a spider. And it was hilarious. And let me know if you want me to, I'll put the pictures. I did snap a couple of pictures of them yesterday, but that was really fun for Halloween. So I hope you had a great Halloween. Okay, so let's see what's going on in Thriving Childcare Universe. Okay, first today Our show is sponsored by the Provider Planner and Organizer, our luxury planner just for childcare owners. And I've been saying this for a little while, but now we're really in the home stretch. If today's November 1st, then you know that in a matter of days it's going to be it's going to be Veterans Day, and then it's going to be Thanksgiving. So and we'll blink and we'll be at the end of the month, and that's where we'll be. So the holidays are coming. I really want you to get your planner now while we still have some. Our numbers are getting low. So if you don't get your planner this month, you may not get it in time for the new year. And that would be a shame, because this is the time, this month and previous months are the time to start getting ready for next year, because when the holidays come, I don't know about you, it gets kind of hectic, and just keeping up with all of the holiday events is enough on your plate. Imagine all of the projects that you're going to be doing with the kids and everything that's going on with probably your own family and different things that you're doing personally. This can get crazy really, really fast. So there's a link in the comments, in the chat, to go over and check out the planner. But I would say to get it now. I think we have 3 more of the striped copies left. Like I said last week, I had them in stock at another location as well. So we had 3 more, but that's getting low. That one's at a steep discount. It's like $20 off right now, and that's better than you would see at any other time in the year. So click the link that's in the chat and go over and check it out and order your planner so that you can get it, especially in time to get ready for the new year. Okay? All right. Let's see. Okay. Oh, and this week on the blog, I don't know if you know, but I'm the founder and author of the Thriving Childcare blog, thrivingchildcare.com. And this week's post is about something that daycare owners, children, and parents deal with, and it is separation anxiety and how to help with that. So sometimes when we get new children, and even sometimes I've had children that had been with me for a while, and then there was a certain period of time when they went through this secondary anxiety, separation anxiety. So go ahead, and I'll leave I meant to do that before the show, but I didn't get to. So I will leave a link to the blog post. Go over and check that out. It's a short read, but it can really help you when you have those moments with the children, because we know that it's going to pass for the most part. I haven't seen it not pass. We know that it's going to pass, but it can give the parents anxiety. It makes them start to feel anxious about their decision as far as their child care, and we want them to not be that concerned. We want them to help with the process. I used to have some clients that actually contributed to a lot of that separation anxiety. And anyway, in the post, I get into a lot of different ways that both the provider and the parent can help the child kind of, acclimate to their new surrounding and get past that separation anxiety. So go over and check that out. I will leave a link to that after the show, okay? And I think I said this last week, but obviously I'm getting ready for 2024. I think it's going to be a great year. I think it's going to be a great year for me personally, but for you and your business as well. So I want to support you with all the business growth and everything that you've got planned for your business in the new year. And so I put together a survey. It's a 3-minute survey. I don't like surveys either. I get it. But this one is super fast. It max 3 minutes. It's probably going to take you less time than that. It's kind of a yes/no type of answers. And I've left a link already in the chat for you to go over and take the survey. And if you do, I will give you a gift card. So check out the link and go over and just take this quick survey, and you get a gift even before Christmas. Okay? I will send you the gift card immediately. All right? Let's see. Okay, so this morning we're going to dive into some questions that have been submitted by daycare owners. But before we do, I think I forgot last week, but I'm not going to forget this week. I'm going to go to the planner and I'm going to look and see what observances we have. That's what the planner has too. It has these kind of unexpected observances and things that you may not realize are national days that you can build a curriculum around or an event around and just have fun with the kids. You can even maybe be inspired for your meals just by these different observances throughout the year. So looking at this week, this is the first day in November, but the second day, November 2nd, is Look for Circles Day. And I think this is such a cool activity that you can have with the kids. Maybe no matter what their age are. Well, obviously if they're infants, probably not. But see how many circles they can find from the morning to the time they go home. Have them spotting circles. And you might be surprised. They might be surprised. And this is just it's educational. They'll be able to recognize circles. You can inform the parents about the activity at pickup, and maybe on the way home they can spot more circles, or when they get home they can spot circles, and they can continue the learning with their parents. But that is November 2nd. November 4th is King Tut Day. Now, I don't know, maybe you could read a little story about who King Tut was, or you can turn it into a geography event and show them where he lived. Maybe you could put on the song that, and I'm dating myself with this, but you could put on the song that Steve Martin used to, that he had, that's called King Tut, and you can find that. If I think about it, I'll leave a link to it because it was a funny song. And maybe they can dance to that. But see what activities you can come up for King Tut Day. That might be a really fun activity too. Now I know that's on the 4th, so that's on Saturday. So you might want to think about that as a Friday activity or maybe a Monday activity. But yeah. All right. So let's move into the questions today. We do have some good ones. Okay. So let's see. Okay. First of all, I have been submitting a question myself to you. So the question today for you is, and this one's fun and easy, what would you put on your daycare provider gift list? Okay, and I have an ulterior motive. I'm actually going to write another gift guide on the blog for providers, and you can feel free to share this with your clients. So if they're looking for a gift or something from you for you this holiday season, then they can go to this gift guide maybe. But I need some help from you first. Let me know. I'm putting together the gift guide, and I want this to be a success. I put together one, I think 2 before, and it didn't go viral. Let's put it that way. Excuse me. But this one, I want your input so that I make sure we hit it out of the park, and that it would be some things that you would be interested in having. And yeah, so in the comments or in the chat here, please go ahead and put something you would want in this gift guide for childcare providers. Okay, I can't wait to see what you put, and I will include those to the best of my ability in the blog post, the upcoming blog post, and I'll let you know when that goes live. But please go ahead and leave your input and help us out. Let me know what you want on your gift list as a daycare provider. Okay, and you know what? It doesn't have to relate to daycare. I said that, but it doesn't have to relate to daycare. It could relate to something that would be nice for you to have, something relaxing. Maybe one of those. You know what I would like? One of those thermal coffee cups. I'm holding up my coffee cup. You can't see it, but that stay warm. And I know we used to have those warmers, but it would always kind of burn the coffee to me, and it didn't taste good after that. But these thermal mugs. I would love to try one of those. So things like that, something that would be really nice for you to have. It doesn't have to relate to childcare. I think we do enough that relates to childcare. So anyway, leave that in the chat. That's my question to you today. All right, now let's jump into the questions. I'm going to scroll up and see if there's any comments. Nope, not yet. Okay. All right. Cool. Oh, yeah, and I just saw that someone shared this already. Yeah, please share this with your daycare owner buddies too, okay? So share the link to the show with them and all the other links as well. Okay? All right, let's get to the first question because we have quite a few today, so I don't want to linger too long. All right. It says, I communicated a month ago, I guess she's saying to her parents, that we won't be celebrating Halloween at our daycare, and instead we'll focus on harvest and fall activities. However, I've been receiving several texts from parents asking if it's okay for their kids to wear costumes tomorrow. This is a little, because Halloween was yesterday, but anyway, what's the best course of action in this situation? I want to be accommodating, but I'm concerned that it might be too late to send out another memo, and I don't want any of the children to feel left out for not having costumes. Okay, so type in the chat what you think. How would you handle this? And maybe you have handled this. Maybe it's not Halloween, and it's too bad that this question didn't come in before Halloween. But I think it's an important question because there's so many other holidays. I'm going to take my glasses off so you can see me. There's so many other holidays, and not everybody celebrates these holidays, right? At my childcare, I made sure that I wasn't biased towards my particular faith in the holidays that we celebrate. So we celebrated Christmas, but it was up to me to convey that to my clients as well. And I do remember one year, I remember having a client, and their beliefs, like this provider, they did not celebrate Halloween. Well, the issue was, in that situation, was that we did. At the childcare, and she presumed that because she told me she doesn't celebrate it, or the family doesn't celebrate it, that we were not going to do that here. So it's kind of reverse to what this provider is talking about. But I will say this. I think in most situations it is up to the provider to decide which holidays they are going to celebrate, decorate, and call attention to, I guess. But in the spirit of goodwill, I would find a way to inform my clients. Now, it sounds like she did do that. Maybe it's something that you want to discuss further with your clients. But I wouldn't necessarily change the way I did something at the childcare, just like in my case with that client, because of somebody else's beliefs. So in this case, it's kind of backwards. She's saying she doesn't celebrate Halloween, and apparently her clients do. Well, maybe give them some suggestions next year. Halloween's past now, but maybe next year give them some suggestions that there's these other events that are going on in the community, and just save the costume and all of that for maybe later in the evening when they go to these events. Or maybe there's an event, usually there's events that are days before Halloween, and maybe scope those out and offer that advice to your clients, because you won't be celebrating it there. But I wouldn't necessarily change what I do at the childcare based on that. As long as I let my parents know, there's a lot of things that we don't celebrate, right? I mean, I'm talking about, earlier I was talking about fun observances, but there's tons of observances that we don't even know about that we don't celebrate. Somebody else might. And just because they do doesn't mean you should feel pressure to do it in your business or at your childcare. What I would say is what you do celebrate, maybe let them know that when they're enrolling. If you have a newsletter, put that in the newsletter, what you're celebrating. I know that certain faiths don't celebrate birthdays. Well, a lot of us do celebrate birthdays. So even though this was about Halloween, there are other observances and holidays throughout the year that you might have this situation. Personally, I would not change what I did at the child care. Now, I want to qualify that, because let's say I celebrate the children's birthdays, which we do, right? If there's a family, like I was alluding to before, I haven't had that situation, but maybe they didn't celebrate, based on their faith, they didn't celebrate birthdays. I would have a conversation with my client, because I would ask them how we can proceed with this. I would want to honor the fact that they don't celebrate that with their child, but is the child going to feel left out because all of the other children had their birthdays celebrated at the child care? So I would want some input on the parents on how to navigate that so that the child didn't feel left out. Maybe it's a day where the parents take the child and they do something else, or maybe the birthday is on a weekend and you don't have to worry about it. But yeah, so, but again, that's something that I tell my clients before we enroll. We do celebrate birthdays. We celebrate Christmas. It's on our little holiday flyer, what holidays we're going to be closed, what observances we have. So anyway, I don't want to linger too long, but that's something to think about. It's something to think about, maybe talking to your clients before they enroll, so that they know and you know where each other stand. And yeah, maybe say, if I'm saying we're not going to celebrate Halloween, don't expect anything at the child care related to Halloween. And you have another opinion regarding the holidays and not celebrating and celebrating, please leave it in the comments, leave it in the chat, so that we can all get your opinion, because you might have a whole different opinion on that. So, okay. So it says, this morning has been really challenging for me. 2 months ago, I let go a child, which was my first in 15 years. My first child that I let go of in 15 years. Just yesterday, I had a visit from Social Services, or Department of Human Services, after they filed a complaint against me. So the terminating family filed a complaint against this provider. I'm feeling utterly shocked and disoriented by this. I'm scared what might happen next. I'm not sure how to navigate this situation. What steps would you recommend taking in my position? Okay. First of all, if you've been through this, type in the chat or raise your hand if you've been through this. Now, the sad thing is, a lot of us have been through this, right? And if you're new and this hasn't happened to you, I hope it doesn't. I really hope it doesn't. Because typically what's happening here is the family is retaliating. They're retaliating because you terminated them. Now, I'm going to presume that you had every reason to do that, a good reason to do that. And it could just be that they were not a good fit. And I know a lot of providers feel like that we should never be terminating families, and we should just help them figure out whatever the problem is. But the fact of the matter is, sometimes, and there's another question we're going to get to in a little bit, it's not a good fit. And if it's not a good fit, or they're violating your policies right and left, or they're not paying you, which is also a policy, then of course, you should consider terminating that family. I mean, it's kind of like, if you think about how many people there are in the world, we all might be very nice people. And I'm sure there's some people that aren't very nice, but we could be very nice people. It doesn't mean we're going to get along with everybody on the planet. And it doesn't mean that every business is a good fit or every child care is a good fit for every family. That's absolutely not true. It can't be true. Some families have different needs. Some businesses have different different services, right? So it's not always going to connect. It's not always going to work. And that's the whole point of going through the tour and the enrollment process, is to hopefully discern whether it's a good fit for the family as well as the provider and the business, right? So, but sometimes in this climate that we're in, people want to find a way to fight back. They want to, it could have been that they even realized that it wasn't a good fit. But being dismissed or being told that was something that they just couldn't handle without feeling like they needed to figure out how to retaliate. So it's probably what's happening here. Okay. Now, I heard some advice, and this is something that I heard. So again, think about it, take it and leave it if it's not something you want to do. But I heard that it might be a good idea to reach out to your LPA, your licensing analyst, if you're a licensed provider, and let them know that you just let go of this family. Now, if you have a good relationship with your licensing analyst, that may not be a big deal, okay? But it's sort of giving them a heads up that in case something like this happens, they are aware. Now, I'm not saying that will help you absolutely and they'll discard whatever this family has to say. I'm not saying that at all, and it's probably not the case. They probably do have to investigate whatever allegations they put forth. But having that in your file, I would think, would be a benefit, okay? Because they know that parents retaliate too. They know that parents make false allegations too. So that's something to think about. Now, I haven't had a family retaliate in that way, but I have had colleagues that have told me that parents would threaten to do this. It was something like this. Someone close to me told me that if the family said, if you don't give us back our deposit, we're going to report you. Now, see, that is blackmail. At least in my book, that's blackmail. And it's really ugly. It's really ugly. I think that she acquiesced and gave them back their deposit. But I want to say that is so unfair. And I wish that I could say that that there was one thing that you could do that would help you in this situation. It could be, well, if you have child care insurance, reach out to your insurance and see if it covers law consultation or advice. Many of them do. I'm not just saying that. Many of them do. The policy will cover that and will help you in this situation. Now, it could be that this doesn't go any further, that they came out and all that happened was your nerves got rattled, and they disregard it, and let's hope that that's, first of all, that that's the case, and that they can discern whether or not it was warranted or a real complaint. Let's hope that they can see through somebody's bad efforts. But it might be good for you to know this moving forward, no matter what. Reach out to your insurance and find out what help they can give you in this type of situation. Okay, maybe at the very least they can calm your nerves and give you some kind of support that this is probably going to just go away. The other thing I would say is if you live in a state that has a child care provider advocate, California has that program. I believe they still do. Try getting that information, and you can Google this stuff now, right? Find out, put in your state and child care advocate, and see what comes up, and see, because it's a state program. It's not. I'm not talking about any paid advocate. In this case, there's a if your state has it, there's a state advocate program, and reach out to them and see what they advise you to do in your specific circumstance. But the most important thing to do is to feel supported, and that's why we're here today. To know that we're all in this together, even though we have our own businesses, so we know what these things are like. Excuse me. But to not feel intimidated like my friend did, and to know that you're doing a job that a lot of people couldn't do. Some of these parents couldn't do this, and I've had them tell me this. It's not me saying it. It was them saying it to me. They couldn't do it. So, yeah. Come back in if you need any other support. I'm sure that the other providers that are here or in the group would love to send you flowers, send you support. But yeah, this is very unfortunate, but it does happen to several of us, unfortunately. But I don't want you to lose confidence in yourself or your business. Yeah, that's rough. That's really horrible. Okay. Anybody else have any comments on how they would deal with that? Go ahead and leave that in the comments or in the chat. Okay. All right. Next question. We're doing pretty good on time. Okay. I'm currently caring for a part-time child whose parents are going through a divorce. One parent is pushing for the child to be with us full-time, while the other prefers to keep the child on a part-time schedule. Does anyone have any guidance or recommendations on how to handle the situation and make the best decision for the child's well-being? Yeah. And again, type in the chat how you would handle that if you had two parents that differ on the enrollment status of their child in your program, or if you have dealt with that. Please go ahead and leave it in the chat. But first of all, I would say you probably need to sit down with both the parents. And if you can't do that with both of them together, sit down with them individually if you haven't already done that. Okay? Try to figure out what the reasoning is for both and how it would affect your program. In other words, do you have a full-time spot? Or do you have, I can't remember if you said I guess they're full-time now. Or wait a minute, let me make sure. I want to get it right. Oh, no, they're part-time. They're part-time now. And one parent wants them to go full-time and the other wants them to stay part-time. Okay. Do you even have a full-time spot? First of all, that could eliminate the issue right there, whether or not you even have the spot. But try and find out where they differ and what the issue is. Now, I've had to deal with several families that were either divorced, going through a divorce, or it was headed in that direction. Okay. And I have learned over the years myself to stay out of it as much as I can, as far as empathizing with one side or the other, because I've actually been on the wrong side, I think, a couple of times, just based on what they said, and it wound up being a little bit different. So I try to stay out of the whole, getting in between both of those parents. And if they are divorced, I ask for the court order. And the reason I do is so that I make sure that I'm maintaining my responsibilities here as far as that order goes. All right. And I really haven't had anybody give me any pushback about that, about sharing that order with me, because I don't know who, unless I see the order, I don't know who is, whose day it is, who's allowed to come pick up the child and when. And I need to know that so that I can maintain that order, or, those orders here at the child care. Now, in your specific situation, you got two parents wanting two different things. They're going to have to figure it out. And maybe this is the first thing that they do as far as their co-parenting moving forward. But also, who enrolled the child? If they both enrolled the child, then they're going to have to figure it out together. If one parent enrolled the child, which if they're just getting divorced, it was probably both of them. But if you have a situation where one parent enrolled the child, then I would be inclined to go along with what they are requesting as far as enrollment goes. But you could explain to them, what is your policy for changing status? You know what I mean? Sorry. I knew he was going to bark. What's your policy? If they leave the part-time to go to the full-time, if you have that available, how will it affect if they want to go back? Is there a waiting period for a full-time spot? So have these conversations with them. And how do you feel about that? Is it going to change your ratios? Is it going to affect more than just them changing the status? Are you going to need to get more help? What is on the business side, on your side? How does it affect your child care if they change status? So I would think about that first, and then approach them and say, okay, let's figure this out. Let me tell you, I would love to have your child full-time, but I don't have a spot until January, if that's the case. Now, maybe that would be fine. Maybe that allows them to stay in the part-time slot for now, and then really decide in January if they want that full-time slot. So it's just going to be communicating with the parents at this point. And I've said in other episodes I was going to talk about internal policies and having internal policies. This would be a good one to have an internal policy about how you handle divorcing families, or families who are divorced. What are your legal obligations? What are your business policies when it comes to that? What do you require? Like I said, I require them to give me a copy of the court order so that I can make sure that what they're telling me is actually true, or the current situation, I should say. So think about that, and maybe coming up with your own internal policy. And what I mean by, and I'll get into this at some point, but when I say internal policy, I mean that it's for your eyes only. Maybe your staff only. It gives you just something to reference to when and if this ever comes up again, how you want to handle this situation. So I hope that helped. Yeah, I hope that helped. And anybody else, if you have a way or a policy or procedures for how you handle families that are dealing with divorce, or if they are already divorced when they enroll, please chime in and put that in the comments and let us know. Okay? All right. So let's see. Oh, it's giveaway time. It's giveaway time, and we've got a special giveaway this week. We do. So this week and every week until the end of the month, almost the end of the month, I think a week before, almost till Thanksgiving, okay? We are going to give away a planner. So You can see the planner. I'm trying to point the right way this time. The planner behind me, that's our Stripe version of the Provider Planner and Organizer. And you can sign up, or you can sign up to enter to win your own copy, and you will have yours by Thanksgiving, so you'll have time to get ready for the new year and use it all through the holidays. So there's already a link in the chat and in the comments where you can just click over and enter to win your copy of the Provider Planner and Organizer. I love this time of year because I love giving out gifts. It makes me happy, but this planner will help you and make you happy well into next year. So go ahead and click the link in the chat. Well, not right now. After the show, click the link and go over and enter to win your copy of the Provider Planner and Organizer. Okay? I will be announcing a winner and emailing a winner on Thursdays by Thursday at noon every week until Thanksgiving. And yeah, so don't forget, after the show's over, click the link in the comments or in the chat and go over and enter to win. Okay? All right. Excellent. All right, we've got a couple more questions. Yeah, actually 3 more questions. So let me get to them. All right. This one says, what fees do you require at the time of enrollment, and what's the rationale behind each fee? Like registration fee, supply fee, 2-week security deposit. And then she goes on to give an example of different amounts for all of those, for registration fee, for first week tuition, supply fee, 2-week deposit, and so on. And she wants to know what's the approach for, and what is the approach for collecting the enrollment fees and why. Okay, great question. And I know it might be a long answer, but if you have a process, please go ahead and leave it in the chat or leave it in the comments. So first of all, this is easy because I'm going to say that it is up to you. It's up to you what your business, what you, the policy and procedures that you put in place for enrollment into your program. Absolutely up to you. I can tell you what I've done over the years and how I've changed over the years. Okay. First of all, let's hit the first fee. The first fee she mentions is, oh wait, I already switched over. Hold on. The first fee she mentioned is the registration fee. So, I personally did not charge a registration fee, well, you know, that's not true. That's not true. My registration fee covers their portion of the premium of the insurance that I was talking about earlier, and a pack and play and a set of sheets for the pack and play. So I guess what I would say when it comes to registration fee is, what does that cover? If you're going to charge a registration fee, is it to cover some things that they will need when they start the program, or what is your registration fee? What is that? What's in that category? Nothing wrong with charging it, and my bad, I do charge a registration fee, and it is to cover that pack and play, the sheets, and I think it's just the insurance, but that's kind of a general title or a general heading, and those are the things that the registration fee goes to cover. The first week's tuition, obviously that is whatever your tuition is that you charge on a weekly basis. The supply fee. So you might think that what I just said as far as the pack and play would be under supplies, but I know of providers that charge a supply fee, a monthly supply fee, for the supplies that they use for their projects. And that may or may not be something you want to do, but people do charge those fees because, you know, depending on how large your program, well, even if it's a small program, there's an expense every month for all of those projects and supplies that you do with the kids. So that might be something that you want to pass along to the parents. And I have something to say about all these fees on the end. But the 2-week deposit, now I definitely will tell you that in the beginning, I did not charge a 2-week deposit. I switched it. Yes, I did. Now, no way, no how are you enrolled without that 2-week deposit. Now, what I do in my program, and you may or may not want to do this, depending on your clientele, maybe it's a case by case, I will give you a way to make that in installments. So if you're not starting right away, maybe you leave a deposit so that we hold the spot, right? And I'm not talking about pre-enrollment. Pre-enrollment is usually, in my program, pre-enrollment is usually an extended period of time before they're going to actually be at the program. But maybe they leave a deposit when they enroll, and on the first day they bring the rest, or before the first day they bring the rest. That's up to you too, what will make you comfortable. Maybe they pay the remainder of the 2-week deposit with the first week's tuition. Personally, I ask for all that up front. That way I don't have to go back and forth with you. So it's all due before the first day. So you might want to adopt that. It's really up to your comfort level and your experience, the experience that you've had with your clients, to determine how you want to set that up. But all of these are valid. They're valid, and if they pertain to your program, you should not feel any way about requiring that. Now, what I would say is, when it starts to be so many different fees, I mean, personally, I feel like that feels like I'm being nickel and dime to death. You know what I mean? Just give me the overall bottom line item amount. And, if I want you to break it down, how I got to that amount, then we can discuss it. The tuition, I have a tuition worksheet that really helps with showing the parents what's involved in your enrollment fees, and I'll leave a link to that after the show, so you can go over and you can grab that. But I've used it to show them and to be transparent and show them, okay, this is what needs to be paid, and this is why, and this is what it goes to. But yeah, if whatever fees you charge, just be upfront about it. And if they want to know what it's about, I would tell them what this goes to and what for. And yeah, so I don't know if that's a rationale behind it, because it is your program. It's up to you. But over time, I realized that I was incurring too many of the fees related to directly to enrollment, a new enrollment. And you can imagine, if I was buying the pack and play, or if I was buying the sheets and so forth, and then they didn't stay for very long, because I don't pass along the same pack and play to another child, or the sheets even. So, that can be a loss for the business. So think about that, and think about what's required for a child to enroll on the first day. Do they need a pack and pay? If you don't have a full day program, maybe they don't. Maybe there's something else that they need. But think about whether or not maybe you want to require the children or the families to have emergency kits in their cubbies, so that if there was an emergency, I live in California, if there was an earthquake, they would have individual emergency packs already ready to go in their cubbies. And that's something that either the family should supply, and maybe you want to just give them a link, or maybe you want to tell them they can go to Home Depot and pick one up, or maybe you want to ask for that fee so you can make sure that they get the one that you require for your program, or that you've vetted and you make sure it has everything in it. You know what I mean? So it's really up to you. It's really up to you. Absolutely, all of these fees are valid, and if that's what you're going to charge, then that's what you're going to charge. it might be a case like me where you go back and you revisit this and you maybe make some tweaks to it. But yeah, if you're asking for permission, you don't need to ask for permission about something like that. You just need to determine that, you know, it works for your program. All right? All right. 2 more questions real quick. All right. What's the annual count of vacation days you typically take? And do you have a system in place for parents to cover these days or costs? Again, this is another situation. Your provider vacation policy is up to you. Now, I will say that if I was advising somebody, make sure that you take enough days. I'll say it like that. For me, that's all of the federal days, all the federal holidays, my vacation. There's the Thanksgiving weekend is an extended day, extended week of days off in my program. I know that there's some providers that don't do that. They're back to work the following day. So again, this is something else that is up to you, and you might wind up changing. I know I did. Early on, I will say that I was overly empathetic to my families that I was caring for, and I changed because it didn't allow me enough time to enjoy the holidays. It didn't allow me enough time to rest and recoup. It was the flurry of all of the projects and events that we were doing with the kids, and then I didn't have any downtime because I was right back to work. So it might be something that whatever you planned for this year, maybe you just go through that, but then right after, kind of assess whether that worked for you or not. Okay, I wound up taking, of course, the day after Thanksgiving off. I made sure that was in my handbook, and that the parents were aware of that at enrollment. And I even remind them throughout the year the different holidays that we're closed. And as far as vacations go, maybe you take 2 vacations, maybe you take 3 vacations, whatever is necessary for you to have some self-care, rest, and relax, because you work, typically providers work long hours, long weeks, and that equals long months and years, okay? And that warrants extra time, extra downtime. And I would say if you're just starting, take more time. You can always change it up. You can always say, actually, this day we're scheduled to be closed, but we're not going to be closed. You can always do something like that. It's harder to do the reverse, to say we're supposed to be open, but we're not going to be open on that day. So if you say ahead of time, we're gonna be closed on this day and this day and this day, and you decide, well, I want to move Columbus Day off to my birthday or something like that. That will be a more welcome change than saying, I'm going to add another day that we're going to be closed, at least to most families. But regardless, make sure you're taking enough time off. As much as you love the kids, as much as passionate as you are about your business and the children and families that you care for, you also deserve care. And you're not going to be any use to anyone if you're burnt to the ground. And I say this a lot because I went through it. I've known people that go through it. A lot of people go through it. And by the time you realize that, you are probably just over it. Don't get to that point. Realize that, first of all, most of the federal holidays, the parents get off. Not everyone. I know it's changed over the years, and they don't get all of the holidays off, and they get personal days instead for maybe a couple. But for sure, when the kids get to school, they're going to have to deal with it. So why not start prepping them now? Okay? So maybe check with your local school and see what their calendar looks like and start with that. Okay, what days are they closed? What holidays do they observe? Okay, because like I said, the families wind up figuring it out when the kids get over to the school and the school says, hey, this is what it is. Okay, so it is up to you. I would say, if I didn't already say before, I take all the federal days off. I schedule at least one vacation, probably better to schedule two. And even if that's just a long weekend, you know what I mean? Maybe a Friday off and then the Monday that is the holiday. So let's say Veterans Day is coming up. By the way, if you're taking Veterans Day and you haven't sent out reminders to your clients, maybe do that today. I didn't want to bother you through the Halloween season, but it's a good time to let them know that in less than 2 weeks there's a holiday. And if you're closed, let them know. Well, it's a good habit to let them know. So they can't say, I didn't know. It's like, no, I told you. But yeah, maybe take a long weekend like that, the Friday previous, and then you have that all the way till Monday, so you have an extended weekend. But whatever you need is how many days you should take off, okay? And in my opinion, as long as you let your families know, you let your clients know that these days are days we're going to be closed, or this is the schedule for the child care, then don't feel bad. Don't feel pressured. Know that you're doing this is really for them so that you can be the best provider for the kids. I'm going to move on because I have one more question and I don't want to go over, so I keep hearing noises. Okay. All right. A last question. I'm facing a situation where a mother seems to disagree with nearly everything we do at the daycare. Despite multiple email exchanges and a face-to-face meeting addressing her behavior, the issues persist. It's important to note that we don't have contracts with our families, and she's free to leave at any time. Considering this, I'm contemplating discontinuing services with her, but I'm concerned it might lead to a significant amount of drama, as she's known to communicate with practically everyone. How can I navigate this delicate situation while minimizing potential disruptions and drama? Okay, first of all, how would you handle that? Okay, you've got a client that seems to disagree and come up against you no matter what it is. What would you do? What do you think? Now, for me, and this is with years behind me, this probably wouldn't have been me initially in the first year or the second year. But this is clearly not a good fit. And you hear that tossed around, but it is a thing. It's a thing. Because she doesn't seem to respect your policies and procedures to the point where it's always an issue. And I've had clients like this. I have. And I retained them too long. I wanted them to self-select and leave on their own. Meanwhile, they were stressing me out. I was having bad dreams about them. You know what I mean? If you can, sit down and have a conversation with this person and say, you know what? Maybe here's a recommendation to another provider. It doesn't seem like this is working out for you. You don't seem comfortable. And I had that conversation with a client of mine. I said, you know, this doesn't seem to be a good fit for you. And, you know, you can be the hero in this situation, or at least try to be, and say, you know what? I want you to be happy. I want you to feel comfortable where your child is. I want you to feel confident in your provider. And that doesn't seem to be the case here. So maybe you should look at other facilities or another child care environment or arrangement. Hopefully, you know, like I said earlier, some people just don't want to be told something like that. They don't want to feel dismissed in any way. But you can try. You can try and work it out that way. Beyond that, you might have to be the one who initiates it. And I know you say you don't have contracts, but see, that's one of the benefits, at least in my contract. It says that both of us, if we determine it's not either of us, I should say, if we determine that it's not a good fit, it's not working out, then either can decide to terminate this contract. And that gives you something to point to, something to lean on. So I just want to say that most of us figure out that not everyone is a good fit. Not every family, not even every child is a good fit for our program. And it could be not, you said there's some behavioral issues here with the parent. It could just be that you don't have the services that they need. You know, a lot of times I would get families that wanted to talk me into different schedule, different hours of operation, and I had to say no, that's not what our program has. We don't have these hours. We don't have weekend hours. We don't have extended evening hours, and that was my program. But I get to say that, and I'm letting you know that up front so that we can determine whether or not this is a good fit. It could be the tuition rate. This is what we charge. If this is going to be a stretch for you or something you're uncomfortable with, then this is not a good fit. Okay? Now, maybe I could have and have at times offered an initial discount, but again, we're going to get back to that rate. So if this is not something that they can afford or that's comfortable for them, then let's deal with it in the beginning so that we don't have to deal with it at the end. Okay? So in this situation, like I said, I would sit down and talk to the parent, maybe offer them some resources for another child care situation. But this is an example of why you want to vet these families that come, because I will say that I had clients that I could tell were going to be a pain. They were disrespectful from the giddy up. They were disrespectful. Now, I should have had enough confidence and business sense to realize that this was probably going to continue and that this was going to be a problem down the road. And instead, I kept them, like I said, too long, but I wound up learning from the situation that if from the beginning I can see there's an issue either with them following my policies and procedures or the tuition or the level of respect or disrespect that they have, then this is not something I want to continue with. There will be other clients, okay? And hopefully you won't have bad dreams about these other clients. That's what you want, right? You want your ideal client. And I know sometimes that can seem hard to take because you might be in the beginning stages or you might be in a situation where you need to find clients. Your business is suffering, but you don't need the wrong clients. They can, just like that provider earlier, they might wind up being a bigger problem than just you not having clients. Okay? So talk to this client, see if you can come to an understanding that this might not be the best situation for them and their family. See if you can be a resource to them, to finding another childcare. I've had colleagues reach out to me over the years and say, hey, listen, I have a family, this isn't working out for whatever reason. And then I would either say, yeah, I have a spot, or no, that doesn't sound like something that I want to get into, or that won't work. It's not a good fit for my business either. But you can maybe think about doing something like that. Okay? All right. I've gone 5 minutes over, so I am going to stop. Let me know, or let the community know if you have, for any of these questions that we've addressed today, if you have another outlook, another perspective, another idea about how to handle them, please come into the comments, come into the chat, and leave that for us, okay? We would welcome your input. Okay, so that's it for the questions this week. Remember, if you want to submit a question early yourself. You don't have to wait to the show every week. You can submit it early, and that way if you can't make the show, we can still get to your question, okay? Just go to thrivingchildcare.com/what's your question. That's thrivingchildcare.com/what's your question, and leave your question and we'll get to it on next week's show, okay? All right, so that's the show for this week. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm Adrienne Bradley, your host for the Daycare Q&A Show, and thank you so much for your support for this show. I am having the best time with this, and I love connecting with you, and I can't wait to continue this journey with you next week. But until then, keep thriving. Okay? See you next week. Hey, thanks for joining me today. And listen, if you're vibing with the Daycare Q&A Show, guess what? You're in for an absolute treat when you dive into the Not Just for New Providers Club. You're going to love all of the courses, resources, and support you'll find inside our membership just for childcare owners. Our courses, workshops, resources, and services are designed to help you create the thriving childcare business you dream of, without all of the overwhelm of feeling like you're on this childcare journey alone. It's like our secret hangout for all of us amazing childcare enthusiasts, and I'm your enthusiastic guide. Forget about those never-ending, mind-boggling mega module trainings or programs that leave you feeling like you've just run a marathon without any real direction. We're all about keeping it simple and steering clear of those overwhelming processes. Instead, we're here to help you set up actionable business systems that practically run on autopilot, giving you more time to binge watch your favorite TV shows or maybe just catch up on some well-deserved sleep. As an extra bonus, you'll also get instant access to our childcare template subscription, our ever-growing template library designed to make running your business smoother than a baby's bottom. Curious? Well, here's the best part. You can test the waters with our $7 one-week trial. Click the link in the comments and grab your trial membership today. Let's dive into childcare awesomeness together. I'll be waiting to high-five you on the inside. See you there.